who has been torn away from their security blanket, their parents, the ones who stop the boogeyman from terrorizing the nights and curing their boo-boos when they scrape their knees. Now just imagine how they must feel when the CPS meant to protect them tears them away from their supposed abusers and places them with strangers who have zero comforting skills. They need to be calm. They are confused, lost, panicked, and needing their parents, but CPS took them away for the purpose of saving them. The kids don't even know why, and they are told that the parents they attach to no longer want them. What do you think that does? Do you think that this is how protecting children is supposed to look? Abolish CPS.
They are taking our kids every day, a child a minute, no one has a thing to say. For those who have been isolated, don't be worried, you have a voice today. So listen up everyone, here is the story. Child Protective Services is real. CPS is what they call it. They want our kids because it fills a lot of people's wallet. We all think it won't be us. We say when they come we will be so tough. It all sounds good when there's no one to take them, but when they come your voice gets to breaking. Stay calm, step away. CPS ain't taking no one today. We are educated. The Punisher have come for their calling. They are giving us the CPS a warning. Their voice is loud and clear. We stop losing our kids this year. Tiff wants to fight the entire planet. She is tired of our kids being taken, god damn it. She's been fighting CPS for 30 years, bringing children home from this disgusting mess. The Punisher is screaming out loud, abolish CPS and tear it down. I want all our kids to come back. Look at all those kids' pictures held up by their tags. Together we are stronger than we need. We will tear down CPS with high speed. We will do so much being together. Birds of a feather flock together. So watch out CPS, here we come, picking you up one by one. We promise to bring back the family and prosecute the caseworkers unhandily. So give us back the kids you have taken. Tiff and the Punisher sending you all on a vacation. The one with bars in the windows and the only games you play are old Nintendos. Corruption in courts, here we come. We won't stop until it's done. You judges need to learn what what you stand for. This is Tiff and the Punisher Warrior Anthem. We cry out to all of you out there. We need support for a cause that many don't care. Our children are being stolen way too often, so CPS, we plan on doing the stopping.
Oh, that's good, Tiff. That's such a good song.
I love that song.
I mean, I like the other one too, but that one definitely is kind of like, I don't know. They both are good in their own environments, but that one really gets you kind of going, right? What's everybody else think out there? We got a loaded house out there. What's going on, everybody? Have you missed us all over the weekend? Tiff, you don't know how many people hit us up saying, Tiff, 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 you need a fan club. We definitely need a Tiff fan club. I'm not even kidding about that. I feel like I'm your secretary, to be perfectly honest. Everyone's like, Darren, Tiff, 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 Darren, Tiff, Tiff, Tiff. It's funny. But
My husband says everywhere I go, I have a fan club somewhere.
yeah, no lie. No freaking lie. I was watching the Herbert, we sent you the link, buddy. If you wanted to hop in here, you're more than welcome. But I was watching the show that the guys did, and the girls, Danielle did a great job on Saturday night too, because Benny's out because he got gagged. So some people have stepped up, taking up the slack. Well, unbeknownst to me, because I was out because of my rib thing, I didn't even know they were gonna have a show, but they did, and they did a great job. But everybody on there was like, "Oh, you should talk to Tiff. Call Tiff. Call Darren. Have Darren get in touch with Tiff for you." Pretty funny stuff.
Well, thank you.
Yeah. So, yeah. So anyway, what went on your weekend, Tiff?
Well, actually, I met with my senator's aide, and
Okay.
I am shooting her an email to get a meeting with my senator. So we'll see how that goes.
And what does that entail when you do that? When you try to get a meeting with your senator, what does that entail?
Well, I actually met her at a function that I went to yesterday. And I kind of was real aggressive about it. I'm like, "Oh, hi, I'm Tiffany Wise. I'm a parent advocate, and we need to talk about the family court, CPS, and child support who are murdering our families."
And so you went gunner on them?
Yeah, and I'm like, and we really need to talk about this. And I have my 2 grandsons with me, so I couldn't talk a whole lot. But
Right.
so anyway, she said, "Here's my card. Send me an email, and we'll set up an appointment." So that's what we're gonna do.
So we will wait now.
I'm from Virginia. I live in Winchester, Virginia. Somebody asked if I was in Louisiana.
Yeah, Herbert. Good old Herbert. Yeah, the man in the wall was there the other night. I know. Yeah, Debbie says the song "Dancing with the Devil." Anytime TFI is in my house with my grandson, I'm going to be playing it. That's good. That's real good.
Didn't she go to court on somebody went to court on Thursday? What happened?
Yeah, Debbie, what happened at court, Debbie? I don't think we really discussed it that much, right? When we're supposed to wait.
Yeah, I want to know what happened.
Debbie, if I give you a link, would you come in and talk to us? Let's get the whole perspective from you. You were up and able to do that today? Debbie, who's my friend? Oh, Tiana, is there a way to maybe quest on the show and tell on my story? You know what, Tiana, if you want to come in here, I don't know what it'd be. Oh, be a guest on the show and tell your story. You want to come in right now, Tiana? I'll send you a link. Email me right here, and I'm gonna put the email address up right here for you to send me an email real quick. and then I will send you the link for the show. You can get on here and let's hear your story. Absolutely. That's what I'm talking about, Tiff. Oh,
Yeah.
I hear him. I hear him. How's his face?
Well, the scabs are all gone. Now it's just all the pigmentation that's gone. So we're cocoa buttering it and cocoa oiling it, coconut oiling it.
Yeah, coconut oil is it. I mean, if you got a scratch, a scar, anything, and you got coconut oil, that's amazing. Feels good. You know what I mean? Like it's just the whole coconut. I have coconut oil going right now myself. I mean, you can't beat coconut oil. It's just freaking amazing. Absolutely amazing. It does wonders. So any of you out there have your kids get bumps and bruises and scun up, put that coconut. As a matter of fact, I happen to have it right here. We use the Nature's Promise organic coconut oil. It's good for cooking and putting on all of your things. And if you have little animals, you put it in their food and it makes their fur so super soft. The kitties are like little balls of fluff. They're amazing. Um, but put coconut oil in everything you can. You can do anything with it. You really can. You can build a village with this stuff. Maybe that'll be our next sponsor, Tiff. But yeah, it prevents scarring, so that's good. His face is too pretty to get a scar. It's too young.
Yeah, I
He's too
sent it to
pretty
my
to come in.
sister.
Yeah,
I sent pictures of it to her today. And of course, I told you that my brother-in-law is a senator in Delaware. And
yeah.
they were like, "Oh my God!" I'm like, "I know, man. Those bounce houses are terrible. He's not allowed to get in any more bounce houses. Period."
He's banned from bounce houses. You can't take away the bounce. You can't take the bounce house out of a kid.
Yeah.
You know.
Well, after I was mortified by that accident, absolutely, he is not getting another bounce house.
Well, I mean, do you remember the playgrounds when we were kids? Remember what those things were wretched. I mean, do you think back of that carousel thing that we used to run around in a circle on, that metal wheel? Kids would be flying off of that, smashing their faces into the ground. You know, you're like, faster, faster. You know what I mean? You just keep going. Kids getting knocked out. It was crazy.
Yeah, but we live in a different time. CPS didn't show up at your door because you fell off the damn merry-go-round.
Merry-go-round, that's what it's called. I mean, damn almighty. You had that half dome thing that you climb all over, like, you know, and it's just metal shards under the rock. Ugh. But we all lived those slides, you know, you'd fall down, smash your head off of them to 10 feet off the ground. I mean, it was dangerous as hell going out on the playground back then. We didn't have
Herbert
no.
said that didn't work for him.
Yeah, Herbert's a little chore. All right, Herbert, hold on. Let me do this for you. He's a tough time with the technology.
Me too. It's me too.
This is a little extra. There you go, Herbert. Now I tried that. And I'm waiting for. I'm just waiting for Tiana to go ahead and send me an email so we can get her on the show. And we can hear her story. Debbie's in a little bit of trouble because what is it with him gagging everybody? Do you know about the rules with that? I mean, what do you know about gagging and having people not talk and all of that business?
Well, first of all, it's unconstitutional. And, you know, if they gag me, I would be in jail because you're not going to put a gag order on me. It's my First Amendment right to talk about whatever I want to talk about, as long as I'm not screaming fire in a crowded place and I'm not telling somebody I'm going to beat their ass, because that falls under the fighting doctrine. But judges do that because they don't want people knowing what's going on in these cases. They want to keep the shit quiet because they know they're corrupt.
Oh. So they can't do that to you constitutionally.
No.
Okay. So what is your defense when this happens then? What do you do?
Well, then you tell the judge, are you sure you want to put a gag order on me? Because if you're really sure, then we'll see you in federal court under my First Amendment right to freedom of speech.
So
it's a constitutional violation.
Okay. So we just point blank tell them that they're screwing with us, and we just continue to talk. Is that what you're saying, Tiff? Is that not that we're lawyers? We're not lawyers, and this is for entertainment purposes only, and all of that stuff. But what you're saying right now is that if they tried to gag you, it would be your opinion that you would just continue to move on with what you had going on.
Correct. Because it's a First Amendment violation. Read the First Amendment. Freedom of speech. Freedom to assemble. Freedom to write and say whatever you want. Freedom to redress the government. Absolutely not. No, don't try and silence me because it's not going to work.
Right. I mean, what if they fine you for it and stuff? Like, what are you saying? You go back to the courts with that somehow and tell them that they're illegally doing this to you?
No, I would go straight to the federal courthouse and file a constitutional claim against them.
Okay.
Because nobody, unless you sign over your rights, can take your rights. Okay? Nobody. The Constitution is very clear. Literally, if you've ever been arrested, I've been arrested 1,000 times. I know my Miranda rights. I read them to myself. So, in order for them to continue to talk to you, they'll bring you a piece of paper. And it says that you waive your rights. Absolutely not. You don't waive any right. If you waive one, you waive them all. I've even seen paperwork where a judge has signed waiving somebody's rights. I'm like, did you sign this? He was like, no, the judge did. I said, no, a judge cannot waive your rights. Only you can. It's terrible.
So a judge can gag you, but you will just fight them that way. But you don't have to do anything that CPS says or anything anybody says. The only time you have to do anything, and even that's up to your own opinion, is when the judge orders it, correct? Other than that, if they don't tell you you have to do it and it's in the court paperwork that it's signed, you don't have to do shit, right?
No, but even a court order can be contested, right? You can't take my free will, my liberty, my constitutional rights. I'm not giving those up, and I'm not going to abide by an unconstitutional gag order.
Right.
Now, you can suggest that I not talk about it,
right,
but that doesn't give you the right to put a gag order on me.
Right.
The government has no rights.
Now, so let me ask you this. If there was a gag order put on you, wouldn't you say that the gag order would have to be like in your paperwork somewhere saying the judge just can't be say, there's a gag order and then it sticks, right? It's got to be in your paperwork, correct?
Well, no, a judge can say, you cannot talk about this case outside of this courtroom. That's a gag order. But again, you can't tell me what to talk about. You can't take my First Amendment right of freedom of speech away from me because I'm not consenting and I am not bending over. I am not breaking. I'm not bending. And I'm not following this order. And if you proceed to put this in a court order, then you go ahead and do that. And the next time you see me, we'll be standing in front of a federal judge.
And that should be a no-brainer to win inside that federal judge's outfit, right?
Correct. They follow the federal laws and the Constitution. That is their job. Because you have to remember, right? People have to remember, we're dealing with magistrates, administrative judges, which are Article 1 judges. The other judges, the higher judges outside of the state, are the federal judges. They rule on federal and constitutional laws.
And that's where we need to be when we're fighting. That's it. That's where it needs to be. That's where the rubber needs to meet the road, because that's the fight that we are the only way that we're even coming close to being able to do anything at all is to go to one of those courts. Otherwise, nobody's going to be the district judges aren't going to listen to us. They're not going to have it. So We got to get there into those courts, into the federal courts. I mean, what about even the appeals courts are kind of even crooked now? Like, what's the deal with our appeals system and so on?
If you're doing an appeal in the state, it's actually because they want you to follow a chain of command, right? But people who know me, I start at the top and go down, because the people at the top are the ones that are making the decisions. The people on the bottom, they're just puppets, right? So if
Right.
you're appealing something in the courts, 9 times out of 10 in the state courts, you're going to lose. That's why Gunner, me, other advocates say the minute your kids are taken, you need to go straight to the federal courts on a constitutional violation, right? Because what these people are doing is, I guarantee you, if you ask these people what their own rights are, they probably couldn't answer you. Therefore, if they don't know what their rights are, of course they're not going to know what your rights are, and they're the same.
Right. I'm just flying to this. Do you feel, though, that we can win in these courts, Tiff? What's your overall feeling on that? Do you really feel like we're going to win in these things? Or do you feel like they're going to come up with some more bullshit? Be honest. Like, do you feel like we're on the right path?
Where, in federal court?
Yeah.
Yes, we can win if we stick to the Constitution, right?
Yeah.
Because more cases, because what you're doing is you're filing against the Department of Social Services, the actors that are doing it, right? So the more cases we can get won in a federal court and in the higher courts, the more it's sending a message to the lower courts. You better watch what these people are doing, because they've already been sued.
Right.
Yes, we are making a mark in the federal courts.
Good. I mean, it's good to feel like that and to see that, because people definitely need to see that they're not going to go in there and jam these things up unless it's almost like they have no wind under their sails, and they need to see someone else having, they need to feel the wind under their wings, I guess, if you will. You know what I mean? Like, to come out of the woodwork and to come out in the drones like this, they need to see people having victory and achieving victories. That way that they can do it too. Like, like they've been beaten up. Everybody has been in this system has been beaten up so badly already that they can't stand another round of getting smashed. Like, they need to know that they, feel comfortable that when they come out and bring their faces out again, that they're coming out to do the kicking ass, not the other way around.
And right. And that's why you stay solely on constitutional violations, right? Because the Supreme Court of the United States has already said that a police officer, a CPS worker, everybody has to follow the 4th and 14th Amendment when dealing with these cases. But these people don't even know the cases.
Right.
Because they're told you have qualified immunity or you have sovereign immunity. Absolutely not. The states have immunity, because you cannot sue a state unless the Attorney General signs off on it.
Oh, wait, so say that again. You can't have immunity unless the Attorney General signs off on it?
No. They do not have immunity for violations of civil rights or constitutional rights. They don't have immunity. Only the state has immunity. The only way you can sue a state is if the state allows you to, right? Which means you have to have permission from the Attorney General. That is his job. He is the Attorney General for the state.
Let's see. Debbie says that she doesn't have a gag order on her. The judge just asked if she cannot talk about it on social media.
Oh, well, I will tell people this. Try not to talk about your cases while they're still open on social media. If you do, use anonymous name, voice, whatever, no picture. And I'm going to tell you why. Because CPS will use your Facebook page against you.
Yeah, that. Absolutely, they will. It's crazy. And it's crazy because you know what? They don't want, it's not a matter of anything it's not going to hurt anything. on the sides of them, it's because they don't want your information getting out there. They don't want you to get a cheering squad. They don't want you to. They don't want you to. Like they're like, don't show pictures of your kids. Don't show this. Don't show the bullshit. Before all of this, you were supposed to. This is what you did. It was Facebook was for you to show your family events where your family could see what you were doing from afar and all this. Now it's all don't show your kids. Don't show your kids because they don't want you to show America what's really happening with when they come and take their kids. That's why they don't want you to talk on social media.
Yeah, they don't want you talking about nothing because the more people are talking, the more corruption is coming out and it's making them look bad.
Right. They don't want people to look bad. They don't need to be looking bad, of course. Like they want to be they're the great hope, I guess, if you will. Herbert, how you doing, buddy?
Good. Tiffany, how are you? Tiffany, would you thoroughly explain to your listeners the difference between freedom of speech and gag order? For example, you have the freedom of speech to talk about what you want. But when you get the gag order, doesn't that take the freedom of speech away on certain matters?
Yes. Yes.
So,
that's what I was
would you
trying to say.
explain that to your listeners? I mean, I'm sorry I have to go all the way back to that. I wasn't on, so I can have you go into an explanation that, yeah, you have your freedom of speech and you can say what you want. But if the judge says you have a gag order on a certain matter, then no, you lost this freedom of speech in terms of certain parts of things you can talk about and can't talk about.
But at the end of the day, freedom of speech is covered. Even profanity is covered under freedom of speech. Okay. The only times you are not covered under freedom of speech, and look it up, is the fighting doctrine. And I don't remember the other one, but you can't yell fire in a crowded place and cause hysteria and there's no fire right now. Obviously, if there's a fire, you can scream it. When a judge tries to put you under a gag order, yes. And if you agree to it, then there's nothing you can do. I'm the type of person, you're not going to put me on a gag order because you will not violate my First Amendment right to talk about what I want to talk about other than yelling fire in the middle of whatever or a fighting doctrine. So there is some limits to the freedom of speech, and those are just two examples. But you can always challenge a court order, especially if it's unconstitutional in the federal court.
So what you're saying is that if a judge says, okay, I'm going to put you under this gag order, you can contest his gag order.
Yes. Yes.
Now, if you contest his gag order, does that mean that you can keep talking until it's contested and then revisited?
I wouldn't suggest it, but I guess it depends on who you are. I would, because that's just how I am. But most people comply with gag orders. Donald Trump did. But I would not. No, absolutely not. You're not gonna shut me up. No, you better put me in jail.
So if you don't go along with his gag order, then they can arrest you for violating that. Am I correct?
Yes, but they can't arrest you if you walk your happy behind down to the federal courthouse and file an unconstitutional complaint on the First Amendment, because then, like Gunnar said, you're messing with a federal witness.
Okay, so what you're saying is that if you march yourself down to the federal court and contest it, you can still talk about what you've been gagged about. But the judge gives you a gag order that you can't talk about the flying bird outside anymore. And you go down and you contest that. So while it's being contested, you can continue talking about the flying bird.
Pretty much, because what it does is it puts a stay on the state and it's in federal court now.
So you can continue talking about the flying bird.
Correct.
Okay. I just wanted you to bring that out so your listeners can understand the difference between freedom of speech gag order, which sounds like you have your freedom of speech, but you still have it even if you're gagged. Or do I have it if I'm gagged? So that left a question mark in my brain. So I knew it would leave a question mark in your listener's brain.
Good point.
Maybe if you'd have been there.
Good evening, everybody.
Maybe if you'd have been there, you'd have heard our screams.
All right.
And not
Hi,
abandoned.
whoever you are. Hello.
The man in the wall.
Oh, the man on the wall. I didn't. Okay, hi, man on the wall.
That's what happens when you.
So I got you check this out. We've got this. What to do if the court issues a gag order? If the court issues a gag, now this is the First Amendment handbook for people that are in the press or whatever. It says if the court issues a gag order in a case you are covering, the first thing you should do is obtain a copy. There's a written order. The court clerk should be able to provide you a copy. Blah blah blah. We don't need that part. And if a judge will lift or modify a gag order when told of the constitutional problems it poses, but a formal appeal may be necessary to protect your ability to cover a court case. So yeah, it says here that with the constitutional arguments that the judges will they have to change them. And then it gives you it gives you State versus Newlander, gives you some case law that goes with it. This is a pretty good book. This is the reporter's guide to the First Amendment.
They would ruin me.
Let me get Herbert down here. He's got some loudness in his backdrop there.
They've stolen my life.
Let's cut Herbert's backdrop. So this here tells us if your sources have been gagged, you will need advice on whether you can challenge the order or whether the person directly affected by it must bring the challenge. Oh wow! So there's a lot of ways that you can handle it if you were covering. So like if we were covering someone's case and they got gagged, we could challenge the gag order.
Yes.
Wow, that's pretty.
It's a
nifty.
First Amendment violation. You
Right.
can't go around gagging people. That's not how it works.
Well, Tiff, I got a question for you because you know
Sure.
the ins and outs of CPS. So their order states that my sister is supposed to be looked into for kingship placement. Now they called her, and now they're saying to my attorney that she can't be the kingship placement because she sides with me.
But that has nothing to do with the safety of the children.
Right.
What state are you in?
Maine.
You're in Maine?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so the Biden administration, I know, don't hate on me. The Biden administration came out with an executive order last November 23rd that told every state across the United States that any child that cannot remain in the home has to go to kinship or fictive kin before they're ever placed in foster care. I will send that to Darren, and Darren can get it to you. Because what you're going to do is you're going to pull up this article, this executive order that clearly states that. Nowhere in there does it say that because your sister sides with you, that your child can't live with her. That is not what it's about. It's about the safety of the child until the parent can get the child back. See, these people really piss me the fuck off, man. I'm telling you, y'all really don't want to get me started. Darren, get his
Yes.
email and send him the 154 cases too.
I will send him the 154 cases. I will do that
Now,
right away.
there's a law here in Virginia that I helped get passed. And the law in Virginia says that if CPS says a child cannot go with kinship or fictive kin, they have to write to the Board of Social Services in your locality, which would be my locality, why. And it has to be good enough for the reason why the child cannot be placed with a relative or fictive kin, right? And let me tell you, just because your sister sides sister sides with brother, therefore the child cannot go there. That's not a good enough reason. And in Virginia, they would get laughed at.
Yeah, they're pretty
Talking
corrupt
about
up here.
They're corrupt everywhere. So
the
I
whole-
will make sure that I get that to Darren tonight as soon as we get off the phone. And Darren can forward it to you. I've had to send it to a couple people across the country because CPS swears up and down they didn't know about this, which is bullshit. Because when those orders come out, they go directly to the directors and the regional director. They go to everybody in every state. Oh my
Well,
God, that is ridiculous.
the new director up here ain't no good either.
They're all corrupt.
Mhm. They're
Well,
all playing
I'm going to send you this and you can bring it to their attention or the judge's attention. But just because your sister's siding with you, that has nothing to do with the safety of the child.
Right. And let's be real. The reason that they're doing this,
mind
they
you,
don't get money.
they're doing this while I'm under house arrest. I can't leave this house unless I have a doctor's appointment or I have other court. That's it. That's the only time I can go out. Before, I was able to go out and go to work. But because they just arrested me under some bullshit charges, I can't go out.
Okay, so were you arrested before CPS came in or when CPS came in?
I was arrested 8 to 9 months after CPS has already been involved.
And what were your charges if you can talk about them?
My initial charge was violating a protection order is what they originally arrested me on, which they had no proof of.
Who put the protective order out?
My parents.
And where was
But
the
then
child?
The child was in our custody. And what happened is that my wife let her oldest daughter take off and go try to get her license, and this other person got involved and coerced her into saying that I did stuff to her.
Wow.
And it's all on documentation that she injected my name into the conversation.
Okay. So you definitely need the 154 cases that Darren has because it talks about coercion. And it talks about all kinds of stuff. And I will definitely get that article to Darren, and Darren should have everybody's email, and he can just put it in one big email and send out the buy. There might be two of them. I might have both of them. So yeah. Okay. So I need to smoke a cigarette now because my blood pressure going a little high.
Yeah, slow down on Tiffany.
Too.
Hi.
Hi.
So when you were talking right now about that fictive whatever kin, so I just right now recently in my last court, I seen that they started naming the lady where my daughter's at. They were saying that, and I did not even know what that meant. So I looked it up, and I realized, and I seen what it meant. Well, so where they have my daughter right now, the lady. Okay, so my daughter was in a group home. And the group home that she was in is under investigation with our governor out here in Arizona because of a play type thing. And the caseworker, my caseworker, said that the reason why out of nowhere, like an emergency move, is because that they were closing down that group home. Well, that group home's not closed because the lady that my daughter at runs the whole group home.
Oh Jesus.
And they have her now as a fictive kin, but yet my case is under for reunification. I've been fighting this for about 4 years now.
Okay, so first of all, I don't want you to get discouraged because it took me 8 years to get my kids out of foster care. 8. Okay? So don't get discouraged. She can really technically, I would fight that as fictive kin, and I'm going to tell you why. Because fictive kin is supposed to be somebody the child knew before being removed from the home, not after being removed from the home.
Yeah, and see, her godmom right now is in the process of doing all the classes, and all she has left is the home study to get her, and they won't even acknowledge that. They don't acknowledge none of that. They're just really trying to have my daughter, go with this gay couple and who run the group home.
How old is your daughter?
She's 12.
Okay, so the bond between you and her has not been broken, correct?
Well, they're trying. Out of nowhere, they said I can only call her 2 times a week now. I have to be
Yeah.
on speakerphone. And
Okay.
now it's crazy.
What does your court order visitation say?
I'm going to tell you the truth. I don't think I even have one. This is all what I got from an email from the caseworker.
First of all, the first thing you need to do is go back and look at your court order. Because if the court's ordered you a certain amount of visitation and CPS decides they don't want you to have that, you need to file a motion to show cause on CPS worker and their lawyer.
Okay.
What's good for the goose?
cause?
What's good for the goose is good for the gander. What applies to you applies to them.
So what's motion to show cause do, Tiff?
A motion to show cause means, let's say your court order says you can see your daughter. I'm just going to throw something out there.
Yeah.
Every other weekend, and you get phone calls every Wednesday for 30 minutes. Okay?
Right.
But CPS says, no, we're going to cut your visitation back, and you're only allowed to talk on Wednesdays for 15 minutes, or we're not doing that call anymore. CPS does not have the authority. You got to look at your court orders. Monitor your visitation. If your visitation says you have this child, or you can see this child on Saturdays from noon to 6, supervised or not, and you get to talk to this child for an hour on Wednesdays, and CPS comes in and says, well, we're not doing that anymore. We don't like what you're doing, or whatever. File a motion to show cause. Now, that means when you bring the motion, you have to have proof that you haven't seen your child on Saturday from 12 to 6, and they said you can only talk to her now on Wednesdays for 15 minutes versus what the court order says. Now, they have to explain to the judge why they cut your visitation, why it was never brought back to court, and the ball's in your court, because then the judge can say, so now, if you were the non-custodial parent, you'd be in trouble. I mean, if you were the custodial parent, you would be in trouble. So they're the custodial parent right now, which means they're in trouble and they're in violation of a court order. That's why you file a motion to show cause. They have to show why they're not doing it.
The thing is, though, I think I needed file now for a new judge, because they all have this biased opinion of me. Because let me tell you, the judge, what was it? So the caseworker, this whole time in our whole case, has repeated over and over that my daughter's dad has not been able to. They can't contact him, or when they contact him, he talks for 1 second. Well, that's a lie, and I brought this up in court because I have the text messages from her dad to the caseworker of her dad trying, and the caseworker basically saying, well, I don't know what to do. I've never had a father want to be involved, but yet he keeps lying and saying he can't get a hold of her dad.
Okay, so there's a couple things you can do. You and the father can actually go file in federal court too, because what's going on is they're still violating your rights, right? Because they're not letting you see your child. That's a violation of the First Amendment, because you have a First Amendment to associate with your child, period. That's too covered under the First Amendment. Also, what I would do, I would first start with the show cause. When you win the show cause, then you take it to federal court for a violation of constitutional rights, because they decided that they were going to pull them, not the court. Therefore, they denied you due process under the 14th and the 5th Amendment. That's what I would do.
Okay.
But you gotta be strong, okay? That's the hardest part for people. They can file all these papers all day long, but the minute they get in front of a judge, they get scared. And let me tell you how to get over your fear. The Declaration of Independence says this: all men, and I stick women in there, are created equal. So
Yep.
that judge is no better than you versus that CPS worker who's no better than you,
Yep.
or the bailiff. Nobody's better than anybody.
Mm-hmm.
Hmm.
Keep that in your mind.
That's a good point, Tiff. That's a very good point. Very good
I
point.
have a question for the caller. Are you Pima, Mojave,
Oh,
or
la,
Maricopa?
la, la, la,
I'm
la,
in.
la, 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 la.
I'm in
She knows.
Pima.
Oh, you're Pima. Okay,
Mm.
so that's what makes a big difference. Because if you were Maricopa, I'm Maricopa, by the way. If
Okay.
you were Maricopa, yeah, if you were Maricopa, then I think it would be handled a little differently. But I know how tough Pima is.
Yeah, it's horrible. It's horrible.
Yes,
Like they
yes,
just like
Pima.
my last court date, my judge laughed at me basically.
Yes, yes. Pima, Darren, for your sake, is very similar to Maine.
Right.
Yeah, she knows what I mean
And
by
everything
Pima.
else crazy. Right.
Yeah, she knows what I mean by Pima.
Hmm.
But here's the thing. It doesn't matter. I've advocated all across this country. I've gotten kids home all across this country. It doesn't matter what state you're in, what county, what city, what town, whatever they call it, parish, whatever.
Right.
Constitution of the United States covers all the states. They cannot get around the Constitution. I don't care what they tell you. In fact, I'm going to read it again tonight.
While you're reading it, would it behoove her to have an attorney to come along with her on that?
Oh, because they're just going to lead her to the slaughter and
Right.
tell her not to
Yep.
file it.
Oh yeah,
Hold our hand.
Oh,
Hold
okay.
our hands right
I'm
down.
already on my fourth attorney, and none of them have helped me with shit.
Of
None
course,
of
they're
them.
just going to hold your
Okay.
hand to a TPR. Come on, let's
So,
make sure that this is 100% legal to get your kid adopted from you on the side of CPS. That's all those attorneys are there for, to make
Yeah,
sure the
I've been
paperwork works on
emailing
their
my
side.
attorney to do all these motions, and he keeps saying, "Well, you need to come in person because I don't believe this
Yeah.
is you emailing me."
Bullshit.
Fuck off.
okay,
Mm-hmm.
so this is what the Constitution, you see this? I got like 20 or 30 of these. The Constitution and the laws of the United States, which shall be pursuant thereof. The Constitution is superior law of the land. They can't get around that. Then it says the judges in every state shall be bound. Thereby, state judges are charged with the adjudicating state laws. They cannot disregard federal law, and they must take the oath and be affirmed that they would uphold the federal and state constitution. Article 6, paragraph 2. Take it to court. And my best. This guy is awesome. He's a great advocate. He said, Tiffany, when your people get frustrated and these judges are telling them that the Constitution doesn't apply in their courtroom, federal law doesn't apply, just say this. It's real easy. The butts, BUTZ, stops here, Mr. Lee. And that tells the judge that he is not above the law and what he's doing is corrupt.
Now, when do you pull that butt stops here, Mr. Lee statement?
When they start violating your rights.
When they stop.
That's what my attorney does. He says that all the time. He's like, Constitution doesn't apply to your case. Bullshit.
Bullshit. Then you know what else you say? You take your Constitution in, but before you go in, you bookmark. Well, this is a different Constitution, so I can't tell you what page it's on. But it's Article 6 of the Constitution, paragraph 2. Look it up, highlight it, and mark it. I just read what it said. All judges.
All judges. Article 6, paragraph 2.
Like
All
what Brenda
judges in every state shall be bound by the Constitution and the laws. And it even says that if anything contradicts the Constitution, it is null and void. Mulberry versus Madison.
Madison. Yep.
All right. Well, Tip, if you can like maybe email me or something sometime, and then we could talk. That would be really cool.
Well, why don't you email me?
Okay.
And I'll give you my email. You ready?
Yeah.
It's 24 Tiffany, TIFFINI @gmail.com. Just say,
Okay.
hey, we talked on the live. And if I don't get back to you tonight, I'll get back to you tomorrow.
Okay, for sure. Thank you. Thank you, guys.
You're welcome.
Take care, Pima.
Thank you. You too.
Tiff, I told Danielle I'd reach out to you on the show last night.
That's fine.
So this is let me see here.
And let me say this too. I do not get paid. I do not accept money. I do not accept anything. My main goal and my only goal is to get kids home. That's it. That's all.
States.
Now, Tiff, I have a question for you.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to see if I can ruffle your feathers a little bit more. So, we just recently found out that the child that made the accusations, who is in state custody, is pregnant.
Well, let me tell you what's going to happen. If she continues to stay in state custody, the minute she has that baby, they're going to force her to put that baby up for adoption.
Well, she refuses to sign their contract.
It doesn't matter. How old is she?
Almost 18.
Well, if she has that baby before she's 18, she might be able to get out of it. She has that baby under the age of 18, she is still a minor.
Yeah, no, she's got 9 months to go. So,
And how far along is she?
I think a couple weeks.
Well, when will she be 18?
Next month.
Oh, she'll be 18 next month?
Yep.
She can walk away. She can walk right out of those doors and there's nothing they can do about it. She's 18. She's a legal adult.
Yep.
Ooh, thank God for that one.
Yeah, but there's an unless, Tiffany. Unless she's tested and there's drugs, they'll take the baby from the nursery.
Well, here's the thing. New Jersey Attorney General is suing their state and their doctors and hospitals for testing women that are pregnant and just gave birth for unconsenting drug tests.
Yep.
So I'm waiting for that to come out.
That's
be doing
the
that.
state of New Jersey. And as you know, Tiff, every state is different.
But here's the thing. If that New Jersey case, if that case is won, it doesn't matter. It's on a federal level and it can be used in any court if it pertains to that person.
If it pertains to that type of situation, you mean?
Right, that person and their situation, right. Yes.
Yeah, so somebody else in Louisiana has a similar situation, then if the case is won in New Jersey, it would pertain to them too.
Correct. Yes.
That's good. That's good stuff. Unbelievable. Hold on.
Well, I really hope that I have to go ahead.
Now, what happens when they test the baby in the nursery and they test the stool and they find the stool is dirty?
See, here's the thing.
Stool is dirty.
You as the parent, anybody under the age of 18, we all know, cannot sign anything because it's not a legal binding contract, right? But as the parent, we have the right to invoke our children who are under 18, their rights. And unless they get a warrant, you better not be testing no babies for no drugs, because that's an illegal search.
Mm-hmm. Agree with that.
It's an illegal search.
Even if the mother is under 8, make her 16 years old, and they test the stool.
Supreme Court already ruled on this.
They test the stool, and the stool, you know what I mean by dirty, comes back dirty. Can't they take the child?
Supreme Court has already ruled on this.
The Supreme Court has ruled on it.
Right, that's what I'm saying.
First of all, I'm trying to get this case up. The Supreme Court said, even if the parents are doing drugs, you are now shifting the harm of the child, or the harm to the child, to the behavior of the parents, and you can't do that. Drug use alone is not enough to take a child from the parents. It's just not.
No, not the parent being tested. I'm talking about the infant.
It doesn't matter. That's the point.
Right, because it came out of the mother.
Yeah.
Right. So you can invoke your Fourth Amendment right, get a search warrant. Not only that, you don't have the right to test my baby, even if I was on drugs, because the Supreme Court of the United States has already said drug use alone is not a reason to remove a child from their home.
But they're doing it. That's the problem. That sucks.
Right. And that's when you get your ass up and you go down to the federal courthouse and you file for yourself constitutional violations and next friend for your child.
Constitutional arguments and next friend.
Tiff, when did this come into play?
2001.
Hold on.
You're talking about Ferguson versus the city of Charleston. Tiff.
Yeah, I probably am, because there's 154 cases, and the majority of them are drug cases. In the higher courts, not just the Supreme Court, but the federal courts have already ruled. Just because a parent is a drug addict does not produce imminent danger or exigent circumstances. Therefore, you cannot remove a child on drug abuse alone.
No, I'm not talking about the parent now. I'm talking about what they find in the infant.
Here's what it says. The Supreme Court ruled in Ferguson versus City of Charleston in 2001 that a state hospital's policy of secretly drug testing pregnant women without their consent violated the Fourth Amendment. The court held that the searches were unreasonable and that the patients had not consented to the procedure. The Fourth Amendment prohibits unreasonable searches and seizures by governmental agencies. It limits governmental searches to those made pursuant to a warrant upon showing a probable cause. Newborn drug testing laws vary from state to state. Only 4 states, North Dakota, Minnesota, Iowa, and Kentucky, require hospitals to test both new mothers and their children if medical professionals suspect drug use.
Thank you, Darren.
I'm only focusing on the newborn, not the parents.
But did you not just hear what he said? They can't even test the newborn for drugs.
Okay.
Except in 4 states.
Okay.
That's only if medical professionals suspect drug use.
Okay. So there are 4 states that it doesn't apply to.
According to that case. Thank God Darren found it, because it would take me forever.
I got you, Tiff. What I'm good at.
What were those 4 states again, Darren?
North Dakota, Minnesota, Iowa, and Kentucky.
Okay.
Commonwealth states.
Well, no, I'm a Commonwealth state. They don't do it here. Pennsylvania is a Commonwealth state. And there's only 4 Commonwealth states: Virginia, Kentucky, Massachusetts, and Pennsylvania.
Well, here's another one, since we're talking about this. It says, this is the Pennsylvania State Court. PA Supreme Court rules no forced drug tests in child welfare investigations. This one's pretty old too, so I can't believe that they're still getting away with this stuff. But the Pennsylvania Supreme Court affirmed the judgment of the Superior Court, unanimously holding that in no event does the CPSL, Child Protective Service Law, expressly or implicitly authorize collecting samples of bodily fluids without consent for testing. The court also expressed skepticism that compelled drug screenings was necessary to the agency's mandate to investigate child abuse, noting that the agency's implication that precluding this avenue of investigation handicaps its ability to provide the mandated assessment is overstated. The agency has not explained how any results obtained from the proposed testing would further its determination of whether or not a child abuse occurred or to identify a perpetrator. Drug testing doesn't do shit. Drug testing doesn't say that you're a bad parent. Nothing of the sort.
That even applies to when your kid has a medical card that was issued by a doctor.
Drug screen results are unreliable and often inaccurate, and even positive drug screens are not evidence of an inability to parent.
The thing is, people have to be educated. They have to have these cases with them so that they can say, Your Honor, it says right here, case, whatever, versus whatever, right? Now, a lot of them will say that the federal law doesn't apply. That's when you pull up the Constitution, because it says that they must follow federal laws.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, that whole thing with the drug testing, you can't do the testing without permission and all that. What year was that, Darren? You said the year. I didn't hear it. Say it again. That year.
I didn't say it on this 2020.
Because there's a lot of cases with the drug stuff that happened before that year.
Yeah, this was 2020.
And there were children that were infants. They're now like 15, 16 years old. And they're still trying to get the kids back. But it may have happened before that. So I want to know what year. So we know from that year thereafter, parents will know. 2002?
2020.
Oh, it was just recent.
Well, recent as in 4 years ago.
Well, yeah. I mean, there's a lot of parents that have kids that are 10, 15 years old.
But, and here's the good thing. Now, those children, the day they turn 18, they can go and sue the agency that removed them for wrongful removal.
Yeah.
There's no statute of limitations on deprivation of rights and conspiracy of rights or fraud upon the court.
Yeah.
I get that. I totally get that. But I'm just thinking about a lot of parents who have had their children taken away at the nursery, at the hospital in 2019, 2018.
Okay. So look, I deal with a lot of these cases, right? Because they trap the parents at the hospital.
Yep.
I'm just going to say it. The easiest way to get a child out of foster care, I had a newborn in the delivery room. Grandma calls me. I need custody of this kid. CPS is coming in. I said, do you know what time the baby's going to be here? She said, yeah, by noon. I said, okay. Do you know the sex of the baby? Yes. Do you know the name of the baby? Yes. And you're sure he's going to be here? Yes. C-section. Great. The minute that baby takes his first breath, you go down to that courthouse and you file a motion to intervene, and then don't worry about it. She did exactly what I told her to do. That baby was released to grandma that Monday, and now grandma has the baby. Good.
That's good. Because I know of a case where a young lady was advised in advance that that they're going to have a visit from counselors or whatever, CPS. She put her clothes on, grabbed that baby, wrapped it up, and the police was right there in the hallway waiting for her.
I believe that. I've seen those.
Yep.
I've seen those videos.
Yep.
So
she tried to leave, and they grabbed her right there in the hallway.
See, this is the thing. I also tell new moms, granted, they're not allowed to take your baby without a warrant. Okay, they're not. It's very clear, but they do it. So this is what I tell people. If you are having a C-section, they're easier when they're C-sections because you know what day you're giving birth. And you already know what the sex of the baby is. You put the birthday down, the baby's name, and you do a guardianship or a custody agreement with somebody in your family have it notarized, take it to the hospital. CPS comes in, you show them that. They do not override anything that's notarized. It's a legal binding document. They have to take it to court. That's what I do. And then whoever has custody leaves with the baby.
Debbie, to answer your question, I am doing okay.
Man in the wall, it doesn't work good when you do things like that.
Nope,
Stay
it
in your
doesn't.
lane. Stay in
It
your
doesn't.
lane.
Yep. And I would also say talking to third party. Do you know what I mean?
Right. So, Tiff, does that work? So, guardianship. Now, say if you filed a guardianship paper or a change of custody for your parent for your child, if you did that when CPS started or was beginning their investigation on you, you changed.
No, you have to do it before, right? So that's why it's hard when you're having a natural birth, because you really don't. They can give you a due date, but that baby's coming when that baby's ready, right?
Yeah.
That's when I tell whoever's there, the minute that baby takes his first breath, you go file a motion to intervene because you're either family or fictive kin. That way you will get the baby. First one to the courthouse wins, people. Just so you know.
That's that. So, guardianship, proper, notarized. Is there anything specific it should say in the guardianship paperwork? Then you have it notarized.
I'm just gonna give you a basic one.
Yeah.
I'm gonna use me. I, Tiffany Wise, is transferring guardianship / custody to Sade Joe Blow of baby Joe Blow. This is the birthday. The baby's full name, birthday, and take it in. If you have a bank, they'll do it for free. Go in, have it notarized, take it with you. That way, the custody is now on her and not with me.
Okay. So hopefully you guys all heard that. I mean, this is something that everybody should just go have it done. If you have children in your future, maybe it would behoove you to get a little CPS packet together. Hopefully you'll never need it, but put all of these papers into a folder. That way, if it comes time one day that you have to pull the trigger, you're not running around freaking out. Just make it up somewhere, put it away, put it in a binder, put it in a folder somewhere in the back of your filing cabinet that hopefully you'll never need. But if you do need it, you would have these things. They're ready to be done because, like Tiff says, it's the first one to the courthouse. And if they're already planning on going to the courthouse to take that baby from you, well, then you're screwed. You don't have what you need. But get it done proactively, as my wife would say. Get this stuff done first. Put it in a file. You have it done. The best offense or best defense is a good offense. Don't let them be ahead of you because they're always ahead of us. They're ahead of us in every step of the game, only because we're always playing this way. We're never playing with them on an even field. Well, if you start playing them as a defense before an offense, well, there we go. You know what I mean? There's an offense before a defense. They're going to try to take, nope, trump card you. That baby isn't even mine now. It's my mom's. They're beyond, they belong to them with kinship and so on. You do that, then you're going to have an easier road to stop this stuff. Don't you agree, Tiff?
Well, yeah, that's how I keep winning.
Right. Stay in front of them.
Because just like a criminal stays 2 steps ahead of the police until they get caught, we always have to be 2, 3 steps ahead of them. So I learned a long time ago, whoever gets to the courthouse first wins, and whoever does paperwork before the baby comes wins because it's already been transferred.
Right.
Now, does that work with kingship too, Tiff?
Yes.
That's good to know.
In fact, here in Virginia, there was a lady a few years back that tried to sell her baby, okay? The police went to charge her. Now, this is in Virginia. You'll have to check with your states. There is no law in Virginia. You can sell your children to whomever you want, and it's not a criminal offense.
What the hell?
Because they tried to get the law passed, and it failed. They said you can give your kids to whoever you want because they're your children.
So just for clarification, you don't have to sell them for monetary. You can give them away if you want. Okay.
Right, but this lady was literally sold her child, and they could not do anything legally to her because they said you can sell your child here in Virginia with no consequences, or you can give your child to whomever you want as long as you transfer the custody.
Okay.
Well, this is what I always wonder. So why can't we do this if we go to the courtroom, right? We go to the court, it's just like your vehicle. If you have the title to that truck, you got that truck. Doesn't matter what anybody else has. You have the title. Well, we have the birth certificates, the original birth certificates, the one that came with that baby when they came. Why can't we still go to court and say, look, we've got the birth certificate. This baby is ours.
Well, you can do that, but here lies the problem. The court will say, that's all fine and great. But now the state has stepped in, and we're a third party, and we have the power to take your child. That way, that's why you can't do these things before CPS gets to the courthouse. Because, listen to what I'm telling you, the first one to the courthouse wins.
Yeah.
Like I had a girl 2 years ago. She was my daughter's friend. She called me. Oh my God, CPS said they're coming to take my kids. I said, well, it was a Wednesday. I said, well, they'll be there Friday because that's their MO. They'll be there Friday. They're coming to get your kids. Call me on Friday. She called me Friday. She's crying. They just took my kids out of here. I said, okay, so I need to ask you a question. And she said, what? And I said, what is your relationship with the fathers? She was like, not good. I said, baby, it's better now. You better get your ass on that phone, get both these fathers here, file a motion to intervene, and your kids will be taken out of foster care. And I'd be goddamn if they didn't go on Monday and those kids were released to both their fathers by Wednesday.
Oh, wow. That's pretty nifty.
Another one, 2 years ago, maybe a year ago, I don't remember. Girl calls me because I helped one of her friends. So she got her in touch with me. Oh my God, they're trying to say this baby was co-sleeping with mom. Then it went from that to cocaine in mom's system, then cocaine in the baby system. Never produced a drug test, never produced shit. So I said, okay, we need to get somebody to take this baby. Now, this was on a Wednesday. I said, just know. Oh, she said, well, the CPS worker said she's coming today. I said, she ain't coming today. She's coming Friday. When she gets there, call me. If she gets there, she calls me. I said, now listen, you need to repeat after me. She said, okay. I said, tell her that you understand that she is investigating you, and tell her that's fine because it's not illegal to investigate anybody. We all can investigate anybody we want. I said, but what you are going to tell her is that she's not allowed to violate your 4th Amendment right, your 5th Amendment right, your 6th Amendment right to face your accuser, or your 14th Amendment right to due process. This social worker got so mad. We're talking about a 5-day-old baby. Jumped up and says, I'm taking your fucking kid. I said, okay, tell her that's great. That's great. So she goes and calls the cop. So the cop comes in. I said, ask him if his body cam's on. She said, is your body cam rolling? He said, no. I told her, tell him to turn it on. So he turned it on. Now she's talking to me. CPS is out there talking to the nurses. He's trying to tell her, this is what he says to her now. I need you to get off the phone because your advocate, what's your advocate's name? She said, Tiffany. He said, Tiffany does not have your child's best interest at heart. I said, you tell that motherfucker that he's the one that doesn't have your child's best interest at heart. Your baby is in the hospital and you have CPS trying to take your baby over drugs that they can't even produce a test to.
Yep.
So we get grandma on the phone. Grandma works for the FBI.
Mm-hmm.
She's talking to me. I said, don't worry. I promise you, this baby will be with you on Monday. So what did the hospital do? They had the police officer trespass mom on Friday.
What?
They trespassed her. Told her, you cannot, she was breastfeeding. You can't even come up here to breastfeed your baby. The states assumed custody. They told grandma, yeah, you could come see the baby on Saturday when you get here. I said, they're lying to you. They're not going to let you in. She gets here. She said, I'm going to the hospital. I'm coming to your house. Guess what happened? They wouldn't let her see the baby. She comes to my house. 6 hours. We were here for 6 hours. I said, this is what you have to do. The first thing is you have to do exactly what I tell you to do. And second thing is you have to say exactly what I tell you to say. It went to court on Monday. She did exactly what I told her to do, exactly what I told her to say. While they filled out the application for grandma to get custody, CPS was served right then and there while she was sitting in their office. That Monday night by 9 p.m., that baby was with grandma. A week later, grandma got sole full custody of that baby.
Oh, wow. Good for you.
She said, they told me to stay away from you because you're trouble. But you know what, Tiffany? You're only trouble for them.
Yep, that's true, Tiff.
And her and I are like this. And I did tell her, I said, I started not to help you because the minute you said you work for the FBI, I just knew your ass was going to arrest me. She said, girl, had nothing to do with you. It was about my grandchild. And if you got my grandchild, that's all. That's all I cared about.
Okay. So with that said, for your listeners, if they have reasonable cause to believe that CPS is coming after them, it would behoove them to try to get that baby, a custody of that baby to somebody in their family immediately.
Right.
Don't play with CPS. If they're coming out there and they do the first time, just to say hello, and right there, they're going to be on top of you. So immediately get grandma, grandpa, or somebody, Auntie Lucy, to take custody of the baby, right? So that way, if CPS goes down and try to get the judge to sign an order to take the baby, they can't because the baby has already been given to grandma or grandpa.
CPS is Child Protective Services. No child in your custody, no case.
Right. So get rid of that kid. Don't play with CPS. I mean, you still be able to see your kid because the kid is with your sister or grandma or Aunt Lucy or somebody. But the thing is, you don't have that kid, and they're going to have to go after Uncle Charlie and try to prove why Uncle Charlie didn't have the child.
Yep.
Which will be a circle jerk.
Right.
It'll be a circle jerk for CPS.
Right. And once they know the child is already with somebody else, they're not going to bother you.
Right. Mm-hmm. So I think your listeners need to understand that. Once they feel they're under the radar of CPS, start getting rid of that child.
Yep.
Now, question. Even though Aunt Lucy has custody of the child's at their house, they can still say, yeah, the child may be visiting me, but the child stays with Aunt Lucy.
Correct.
Okay.
Then there's another little trick too. 90 days, no contact, no case. So after 90 days, because you have 6 months to get the child from Aunt whoever, Lucy, whoever, right? So once 6 months passes, then it's called a change in circumstance, and that child is permanently with them. Then you have to take Aunt Lucy to court to get the baby back. So make sure 90 days, no contact with CPS, no case. So you have 6 months to get the child back before then you have to take it to court. But most parents and grandparents and aunts and uncles, once everything's done, they just give them back.
Okay. Well. Let me see if I follow that. You're saying this the 90 days, and you're saying 6 months. So
Okay.
can you get your kid back from Aunt Lucy within the 90 days? Because
Yes.
CPS hasn't bothered you. Is that what you're saying?
90 days, no contact with CPS, no
Yes.
case. That's federal
Good.
law.
Good. So no case. So then the 91st day, you could go to Aunt Lucy and get your kid back.
Correct.
Do you have to go to court to file to get your kid back from Aunt Lucy? Okay.
Only if the time runs into 6 months or more.
Okay. So I hope people understand that. If the time runs into 6 months or more, then you got to go down to court and take Aunt Lucy to court. But if it's
Yes.
the 91st day, you don't hear from CPS, just go get your kid, bring it home.
Yep. Yep. And you don't even have to tell them where the child is, because you know where the child is. And if they take you to court, then you can show but you got to make sure it's notarized, because anything unnotarized, even though it's a contract, courts are like, make sure it's all notarized, because anything notarized is a legal binding contract.
So due to my strep throat, I gave my son to Uncle Harry. I have
Yep.
strep throat, so therefore I don't want my child to get it. So I signed off my son, and I had it notarized at my bank that my Uncle Harry is going to take custody of my son. Because I already know CPS is coming after me.
Yes.
Did I explain it right?
Yes.
Okay. I hope people understand that. So don't be fighting with the CPS about the yelling, the screaming, the abuse, the this, the that. Don't be fighting. Once you know they're coming after you, you gotta get rid of that child. Don't even put up a fight with CPS. Just put the custody of the child into a relative, or is it okay to put the custody of a child into a good friend?
Yes, because that's fictive kin, which is good. As long as the child has a relationship with that person, that is fine. It's called fictive kin.
Even if it's your next door neighbor.
Yeah. Anybody that the child knows. Yes.
Okay. In any state. Doesn't have to be in the same state.
No, it can be anywhere.
Okay. But I ain't never seen you cry before.
I'm just waiting to see what Darren's doing.
Oh.
I'm right over here looking at this stuff right here. I'll show you. This stuff.
That's what I said, Tiff. I've never seen you cry before. I was looking at you like, are you okay?
Tiff, I dropped my email in the back room for you.
All right. Okay. Darren will have to forward it to me. I'm not very good technically.
Right. I'm here. Oh, I didn't realize that you couldn't see me. I'm sorry. I was trying to put the extra camera thing in. I didn't even realize that you couldn't see me now.
No, we just got Herbert and Tiffany on. That's it.
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought I was on here. I was just no kidding.
And something else that I tell people too, because we know that if a parent dies and the other parent can't stand up, that they'll go to foster care. I even tell people in their wills, as long as their children are under the age of 18, they need to talk to the person. Like I have one for my 2 grandsons. They will go to my other daughter and their uncle, right? If anything were to ever happen to me, but they would stay with my husband, they would just make the decisions for them.
That's like a, what do you call it? Power of attorney.
Correct.
So they'll have like a power of attorney. Okay.
Well, right. They will be the power of
actually,
attorney.
it will be called a dual a dual. I'm trying to get the word right. I think it's called doable power of attorney.
It's
Cool.
something like that. It's
Yeah.
different in every state.
Okay.
But yeah, I even tell parents that too, because you want to make sure that if anything ever happens to you, you always, I'm a preparer. So I always have a backup plan. Always.
That makes sense, though. It really does.
I always have a plan.
I wanted
Yeah.
to do this before too, but yeah.
Even siblings, when they turn 18, and their siblings have not been adopted, can go to court and get their siblings out of foster care.
So wait a minute. So let me ask you this, okay? I have an older son who has nothing to do with any of this. You know, he's by a different mother. He lives elsewhere. He's got a great job. He helps build naval destroyers. So he works for Bath Iron Works. He has wanted contact with his older sister. CPS has been refusing that contact. Now, not only have they refused the contact, I asked my son if it came to it, if he would take his sisters for me, and he said he would. He's 19 years old.
And how old are the other two?
One is 14, and the other one is 4.
So then why doesn't he go down to the courthouse and file a motion to intervene?
I don't know.
That's all he's got to do.
So he just has to go and file a motion to intervene. He gets that motion passed, goes to CPS, and that's it. They have to give up the kids.
Right. Well, what happens is it's an emergency hearing, right? So when you file a motion to intervene, you want to file for an emergency hearing behind it, and the courthouse should have all that. Then they go to court, and CPS has to say why they can't go with him. And if he's got a good job, a place to live, and they're his siblings, that's the First Amendment right to be with your family. I would file a motion to intervene in an emergency hearing. That's what I would do. That's how we've been getting these kids out of foster care and into kinship care.
Okay.
That's good. That's good stuff. Well,
In fact, I have a blank motion to intervene. If I can find it, God, oh my God, I know I have one. It's in one of my iPhones.
About it, don't stress out.
I will send it to Darren and he can put it up.
I will do that. Why am I still not here? I don't know where I am, but I'm not there.
Yeah, I don't see it.
I don't know either, but you know what? It's going to be that time that we're about ready to wrap this baby up. I know you can't see me or anything, but I'm here. And what do you think, Tiff? You think it's time that we put this round table to bed?
Yeah, and I will look for that motion to intervene so you can put it up tomorrow on the screen, and then whoever wants a copy can get it. It's just a blank. It's just a generic template that you can file.
Right. I just don't know. I'm sorry, but I don't know where I am. I can't get out here. But, well, we'll be here tomorrow night. Same time, same place. Don't forget to check us out. All right, Tiff. Have a good night. Everybody, have a good night. Thanks, Herbert, for joining us. Thank you, Man in the Wall. We'll see you all tomorrow night. Same place.
Yep, I'll be there.
Same stuff. Have a good night, everybody.
That's why we have the freedom to own
Bye-bye.
but we are blowing it. These freedoms were created by those before us. They were to be something that stays. But now things are so corrupted, they're taking our rights away. Hey, Uncle Sam, where did you go? I called Washington today, but nobody's home. We all want to stand for our freedom, but nobody wants to do it today. Can't you see time is a waste and the Constitution we love is fading? Make no tread on the reality, or the USA will be the next casualty. We are here for freedom, those we will protect. Unite for the values we cherish, or watch everything perish. Our men have fought for our freedoms, many women have too. Their blood spilled upon the ground, with the news many frown. They paid a price that many won't pay. Now we are letting their cause fade away. The graves are being neglected by the actions of so many deceptive. The freedoms they fought for in every world war, conflict or mission, so many stayed behind signing petitions, while those away dying were there to protect them. It's time to wake up in the USA. We are all slipping away into the darkness we once ran from. It's getting worse every day. Now they are taking our children more and more every day. No soldier ever fought for taking our children away. This is not why they bled for our freedom. They didn't die for some cheap pay. We all need to come together, fight this corruption, and it starts today. We need to wake up America, go back to parades, remember true family values, laugh again as children play. These are the things we fought for, 200 years strong, but now we're losing all of this. Don't tread on me does exist. So rise up and be strong. We don't have to go along. We need to push back now, like our forefathers did. It's time to bring back the way it was, when families lived together, all that mattered was love. It's not always easy to take back what they have grabbed. With all of us together we can do it, two loving children and mom and dad. This is our country, it's called USA. So many have fallen, say don't tread on me today.
Our courts are contaminated with young, inexperienced caseworkers and polluted with bribes, high-priced bonuses for speedy adoption of terminated parents, and judges who don't practice law with the Constitution in their sights. This is a problem.
They take away the fathers, leaving just a mom and cubs. They know that with that out the way, the better things will go. Breaking apart the family, destroying the American way. Our legacy is built upon our families of yesterday. Fuck CPS, fuck what they doing. Fuck CPS, they need to be ruined. It's all about the division of family services. You hear that the division, that's what they about. They prey upon the family, the ones that the dad's been kicked out. We can't stand for this abomination. This is the song that needs to play across our once great nation, making us aware of the problem, stealing our kids. It's not mama drama. Stand up for those who are lost to them. We need to fight for the family, making America great again. CPS comes along with the mission to protect. The only thing they are doing is cashing in those checks, paid for by the souls of the children, diagnosed by a caseworker who is still a baby herself. They take away the fathers, leaving just a mom and cubs. They know that with dad out the way, the better things will go. Breaking apart the family, destroying the American way. Our legacy is built upon our families of yesterday. Fuck CPS, fuck what they doing. Fuck CPS, they need to be ruined. It's all about the division of family services. You hear that the division, that's what they about. They prey upon the family, the ones that the dad's been kicked out. We can't stand for this abomination. This is the song that needs to play across our once great nation, making us aware of the problem, stealing our kids. It's not mama drama. Stand up for those who are lost to them. We need to fight for the family, making America great again.
am the CPS Punisher, and I am here to share an important message with you. Remember, every minute in the USA, a child is taken by CPS. Watch CPS Victims Hunting Justice every Monday through Friday at 9:30 p.m. Eastern Time to learn about the destruction of families. Join us on this journey as we shine a light on the struggles and seek justice for those affected by CPS intervention. Together, let us raise awareness and work towards creating a better future for our children and families. Tune in to CPS Victims Hunting Justice and stand with us in the fight for a fair and just child protection system.